What is up? Good morning, wrestling lunch break group. I apologize for being late. I was taking an exam for class. I am still a student, full-time student. About a little update on me, just looking to start medical school here soon. Today we're going to be going over, this is the second part of what I like to dub my scrambling rules. So lesson 2, this is part 2 of that lesson. This is an extension on what we did on Wednesday. Just to give a quick reminder of the things we covered. So we covered our 4 positions that we start with. Basically you're in referees, positions 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those are going to be your scoring progressions. Position 1, you're going to be more likely to score. Position 2, you're more likely to score than position 1, and 3 and 4 on down the line. Remembering our rules here. So high head wins the scramble, inside hip down, outside hip up. Always looking to get to and improve shoulder position, creating a low leg and elevating, and attacking ankles and wrists. Okay, so those were the kind of rules that we went over last time. We're going to add a couple more in, and I'm going to show you 2 more positions where a lot of these scrambles come from. The concept on this, guys, I really want you guys to focus. Make sure, first of all, you've got your wrestling notebooks, because if you're taking notes, if you, at the end of this week, at the end of this practice, for each full page of notes, all right, so I'll give you an example of acceptable and non-acceptable. All right, so something like this, a full page of notes is acceptable, all right, and then something that would not be acceptable would be something like this, all right? So 1 full page of notes will get you an entry into the shoe raffle, all right? Or donations here will get you into the shoe raffle, all right? But 1 full page of notes will get you 1 entry. You can earn up to 2 entries with 2 full pages of notes from my lessons, all right? And that will get you 2 entries. Please make sure that you send those in picture email format to wrestlinglunchbreak@gmail. All right, so we're about to get started here with a nice little warm up, kind of how we always do, warming up our bodies, and then we'll get started with the lesson today. All right, guys, thanks for checking in. As always, if you have any questions, I see there are a couple of people in the Zoom chat, a couple participants, Adriana and Thomas. How are you guys doing? So got you guys here. Feel free, if you have any questions, to jump in. And on Facebook, I have my page up. So please, if you've got any questions, send them to the Facebook page, and I'll be trying to stay as updated on it as possible. So if I see questions come up, I'll try to answer them. I know that this stuff can be a little confusing, a little complicated. So I just want to make sure that I've got all your questions answered. This lesson normally requires a lot of back and forth between the students and I. So about to get started here, folks. Hope you got your shoes on and tied. Hope your wrestling notebooks are there and ready. You got everything ready to go on this end. So first things first, let's just get started. Some jumping jacks, get our bodies warmed up. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. All right, and so a little bit of this Wyoming stem warm up. All right, let's get our forward rolls, back rolls, and stuff in. So forward rolls. Let's get 2 of these, go across. Back rolls. Cartwheel, right hand. Cartwheel, left hand. Left shoulder roll. Right shoulder roll. Head bump. Ready? We're going to do 10 of these. Down. And go. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Now, do some of these suitcase sit-ups. Try and warm up all of our abdominal muscles. Basically go from 6 inches, touch your toes, all the way behind the heels. That's 1. We're going to do 10 of these. And up, up, 4, 5, halfway there, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. We're going to do some burpees with some mountain climbers in. So you're going to jump, get down to your burpee. 1, 2, and another jump. That's 1. We're going to do 10 of these. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Stretch. All right, this is very important. Make sure we're stretching everything out. Down to the middle. I'm going to run through these kind of quick. Remember, guys, if you're doing this alone, you're trying to pick up some of this technique, really listen to some of the positional cues that I give. What I mean by that is, listen to when I'm talking about shoulder position. All right, pay attention to where my knees and my feet are. All right, down to the left here. All right, pay attention to where my head and my shoulder are, down to the right here. Good, stretch out your ribs here. So if you're solo, a lot of these lessons and rules, other side, can still be picked up on, can still be practiced. A lot of these can come up if you watch some of your own wrestling tape. Another thing you can do is watch your old wrestling tape, look for positions where some of these rules might have helped you so that you can better visualize what you want to do. Before we get started, just one thing, just a little quick note. One thing that's important, especially as we move into some of these harder concepts, before we revert back to some of the more fundamental basic things, is understanding this visualization. So you must be able to create something in your mind before you can recreate it on the mat. So as we get into our stance in motion, all right, everyone bouncing around, we're gonna get 30 seconds in at first. All right, get ready to go. So ready to go. In our good wrestling position. What we talk about here, remember, we want our butt down. All right, almost like we're sitting in a chair as low as we can pretty much get. Our elbows are in. Okay, our head, our chin is up. All right, and our back is straight. This is going to be our good wrestling position. You've got to be able to move from here. Remember, anytime I'm on a mat, my feet are moving. All right, right now we're just working on first 2 of our 7 basic skills. Stance, motion, add in number 3, level change, break. All right, so getting our bodies warmed up, we're starting to think about wrestling. We've got to be able to visualize. All right, let's get ready. Back into our stance and go. Good, we're back into our stance. We're starting to add in some more of these 7 basic skills. So stance, motion, level change. All right, level change and penetration. Good. All right, so remember, our lead leg hand, right leg lead, guys. Our left hand checks our level, checks our distance, okay? Left hand checks our level, checks our distance before we shoot. Big penetration step, hips come forward. Good. Moving your feet, level change, penetrate. Good. Moving your feet, level change, penetrate. Good. Break. All right, that's our second one. 45 seconds, keep bouncing. Roll out your arms. All right, get your shoulders warmed up here. We're getting ready for a minute. Stance in motion. Visualize somebody in front of you, all right? I want you guys to really believe that there's somebody there. If you've got a partner, all right, you're moving around your partner, barely touching. So 1 minute, ready, go. Moving around my partner. When he changes his level, I change my level. All right, good. And vice versa, if I change mine, he changes his. Check my distance. All right, check my distance. Penetrate. Good. Check my level. Penetrate. Good. This is how you drill. Stance in motion with the partner. Make sure they're matching your level. Penetrate. Good. We're moving around. Good. Moving my feet. Penetrate. Now, one thing we're not doing, we're not working on our defense here yet. We're going to save that for this last one. Moving our hands, checking our level, working on our penetration. All those things, staying in good position. Good, break. All right. Last one's going to be 1 more minute. We're going to add in all of our 7 basic skills. All right. Stance, motion, level change, penetration, body arch, lift, back step. All right, we're going to add in some of these other basic skills that are really important, things we've already talked about. Hand fighting, all right? Our 3 hand fighting rules. We hand fight from the bottom up, from the inside out, from our chest forward, all right? And when we sprawl our defense, legs go straight, head goes down and away, we circle the square, all right? So 1 minute in your stance, ready, go. I'm in my stance, I'm moving. Sprawl, circle up, right back into your stance. Sprawl, circle up, right back into your stance. Level change, penetrate. Level change, penetrate, sprawl. Circle back up into your stance. Level change, level change. Level change, penetrate. Sprawl, level change, penetrate. Sprawl. Good. Keep your feet moving. Keep your feet moving. Butt down, head up. Check your level. Check your distance. Check your level. Sprawl. Circle up. Check your distance. Penetrate. Good. Back step. Back step. Penetrate. Almost there, guys. 10 more seconds. In your stance, moving around. Sprawl. Penetrate. Level change. Level change, penetrate, sprawl. Good. So, this is your water break time, guys. Grab a drink. So when we're talking about these scrambling rules. All right, so if you didn't watch Wednesday's video, please make sure to check it out. All right, so what we're going to do here is just go over a little bit of kind of what these other rules are. So these are the things we're going to cover. So remember, high head wins, inside hip down, outside hip up. Inside hip down, outside hip up. Create a low leg. All right? How do I create a low leg? I create a low leg by grab, leg, elevate. Whenever I elevate, I create a low leg. Hook and score. So whenever I create that low leg, I attack it, hook, and score. All right? Other thing here, I want to attack ankles and wrists. And don't forget rule 0. All right, I like to bring it back up at the end because Rule 0 states I must be holding on to something. I must be holding something. There's no such thing as a scramble where I'm not holding on to anything. All right, so these were our rules from last time. All right, just wanted to get a quick review. All right, now let's talk about what our lesson looked like a little bit from last time. So, once again, I got my buddy Keepway here. All right, love this kid. He loves to help me out. Loves wrestling. He's a junkie like me. So, talking about here, move this one just a little bit. So, our positions here that we're starting from, I like to use these positions because they come up in wrestling a good amount. So, position 1, all right, we're both on the outside, grabbing the foot, okay? Position 2, I'm reaching across. Actually, let's move forward a little bit. Keep way. So, towards the camera. And I'm gonna, so we're gonna focus, so we can be on the right a little bit. So right here, inside foot, all right, position 1. Position 2, I'm gonna be reaching below his butt, all the way across, all right? So position 2, I'm reaching here for this far foot. Position 3, I'm gonna be coming inside, like I've got a high crotch, but we're on the mat, and Keepway's got the same thing going. All right, we're both in position 3. Position 4 is I'm in between the legs, but I'm on this far ankle, all right? That's gonna be position 4. So a lot of this technique that you see happen from last time to this time, we start with those positions. We go position 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we switch sides. Position 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you're at home and you're watching this and you have a partner, I want you guys wrestling through your positions right now as I'm talking, all right? So if you've got a partner right here, start in position 1. Imagine I just said go. All right, you and your partner are wrestling, trying to score your takedown. Keepway elevates, went to position 4, and he scored, all right? So as I'm talking, if you've got a partner, walk through these. If you don't have a partner, here's what I want you to imagine. All right, imagine that you're in position 1. So the first thing you want to do is inside hip down, outside hip up. Get your butt down and your head up. You want to be looking to elevate, find some shoulder position, and pressure across. So if I'm by myself, I want to imagine that my hips came up, I'm elevating, my pressure's in, I'm finding shoulder position and across, all right? These are going to be a little bit harder solo, but make sure that grab your mom, grab your dad, grab your brother or sister, grab your dog, doesn't matter. Grab somebody that'll want to get away, all right, and try and make them hold on and wrestle you. So as we advance through some of these positions, okay, these are an extension on a little bit of our defense. So when Keepway's taking shots, he's getting to his attacks, all right? Remember, a scramble is everything that happens in between positions, and it's everything that I need to do to get back to a good position, whether that be good shoulder position, front side, front of my shoulder to the front of his hip, back side, stinky shoulder position, front of my shoulder right below his tailbone, upper shoulder or upper front side. These scrambles, imagine I can create a position 3 off of a shoulder pass. I can create a position 1 if I scroll and we end up here. I can create a position 1 right here on Keepway. So these positions are going to show up in your wrestling, all right? And as you find some of these other positions, we've got to have some more advanced rules, all right? Some more advanced rules other than inside hip down and having my high head win the scramble and things like that. So now let's get into some of the concepts of these more advanced rules. And some of these involve trying to force your opponent to break the rules before they're ready, all right? Now, remember, one of my big things is you must know the rules before you can break them, all right? So imagine Keepway hits a really good high crotch here, all right? I move his head to the inside. He's going to crack down. His head stays up, and we end up in this kind of stack knee position here, right? Maybe he started to come out the back as I sprawled, all right, and we end up, we end up in this stack knee position, all right? Now, Kiwi's job is to grab the low leg, isolate, and step over, all right? So, one of the things that I can do here is I can start to feed this guy my top leg, all right? So we're in here. A lot of this comes from staying tight with a chest lock. So Kiwi's in on the leg, all right? I'm trying to keep my leg straight. He's starting to come out the back. Right here, I can come to my chest lock and I'm defending, and he goes down to a stack knee position. Okay, we're right in here and I'm staying tight. Now what he's trying to do is step over my low leg. So what I can try and do is feed him my top leg. Right? If Kiwi's going to try and pull over and step, I'm going to be feeding him my top leg. And hopefully what we want to happen is for him to either step over the top leg or for him to attack the top leg with his top hand. All right? Now, when Kiwi goes to attack this top leg, all right, this is where we go back to our regular sprawl wizard or scrunch defense. All right? So when he's on the top leg, my bottom heel stays tight to my butt, and he's going to help pull me back into good position. So he's going to be pulling this leg down, trying to score, and as he does, he keeps pulling and pulling. I come right back up with him, and he ends up in on this single on my top leg. All right? So let's show that one more time. He's in here. All right, he's doing a good job. I'm trying to defend. We end up in one of these positions right here. All right, he's trying to score his takedown. I want to feed him my top leg. So when he splits his hands to grab, right here, immediately my hips start to turn. I want to get my belt buckle to the mat. And right here, as Kiwi goes to try and finish, he's going to pull me right up into my defense, all right? I've come to my wizard defense. Remember, as soon as I get to a wizard defense, leg goes straight to the board. All right, and I'm trying to find my front headlock shoulder position, which is going to be front headlock shoulder position, front of my shoulder, right where his shirt meets his neck. All right? So, next rule that we're going to be adding here is feed him the top leg. All right? So feed your opponent the top leg. Now, this is for positions where you've already been beat a little bit. All right, guys? So I'm feeding this guy the top leg in the hopes that he takes the bait. And that the bait is, I want him to attack the leg that's going to give him the least successful shot at scoring his takedown or her takedown. All right? So remember, whenever we're in this position here, all right? His job is to create a low leg and elevate it. So if we end up here and he elevates my low leg and steps over, when he hooks, I'm toast. All right? I can't do anything once he steps over the bottom leg. So my job is to give him something else to step over. This is my top leg. If he steps over my top leg, then what we have here is a whole nother scramble. All right? His head stays down. I then have some defense here, attacking the head down and away. I get some offense back. All right? So the one thing that we want to talk about is feeding him the top leg. That's going to come in a couple of different ways. You're going to see it manifest in a couple of different situations. The other rule now, as we start to get into scrambles, and I know some of you have been asking, we're talking about scrambles, we haven't hit any funk yet, any type of leg passes. All right, so here's where we start talking about some of these leg passes. So I'm taking shots, I'm being offensive, all right, I'm getting it good and nice and deep. I'm wrestling good wrestlers. They're passing my shoulder, looking for leg passes. Right here, they're going to go leg pass. So, you've got two options. We've got two options. We can either feel the leg pass coming and try and stop it. So if Keyway goes to hit his leg pass, remember our rule, inside hip down, outside hip up. I'm going to try and drop my inside hip. But if the pass happens anyway, all right, one thing you've got to make sure is, right here, he passed my leg. He passed my leg right here. I still haven't passed his body. So make sure that you pass last. All right? So when I pass here, Keyway's going to go down. He's trying to get to his belly, just like his coach taught him. I'm still sitting on his head. And the way that I rotate is, I rotate my foot in front of his face. Here. Okay? I rotate my foot in front of his face. This all came from a leg pass. I started on a high crotch. All right? Keyway went to his leg pass. I felt it coming but couldn't stop it. He gets to his belly. The one thing you don't want to do is go over his butt. If I try and go over his butt, Keyway elevate. He elevates, and I end up in bad position pretty quickly. For a second. Okay? So he passed my leg. I must go around his head this way. Okay? The position that this creates is right here. This allows me to come underneath of his arms. All right? On the inside. My inside hip is down. My outside hip is up. Okay? Inside hip down. Outside hip up. If I try and go the other way, when I step around, my inside hip is up, my outside hip is down, and this allows Keyway to elevate, okay? So this is why we must go this way when we're trying to beat a funk, all right? This gives us two options. This gives us the straight whizzer option. Straight whizzer is going to be, I'm putting my forearm right down in front of my shin, in between his armpit and my foot, all right? So in between his armpit and my foot is my hand, and this is going to allow me to pressure forward and start to straighten out this leg, all right? Anytime I can come underneath both arms and lock my hands, I will. So what does this look like as we're trying to get some technique, right? How does this manifest as we're wrestling through positions? So remember, these types of funk leg pass things, they happen whether you're shooting takedowns, whether you're trying to score reversals, or trying to defend those same situations. So I'm in a high crouch, right? We get to this crackdown position. We're wrestling here. I'm looking to score. Keyway wants to go funk, all right? So right here, once he starts to go funk, I've got to recognize whether or not he's already beat me, all right? I've got to recognize whether or not his head is going to come up and my head's going to go down. So right here, Keyway's got me beat. My leg's off the mat, he's already turned. Okay? Remember, I must rotate. So once he gets to his belly, I'm going to let him go all the way to his belly. All right? I don't want to try and stop him mid-pass. So right here, Keyway's going to pass my leg. Once we get to about here, there's no reason for me in a folk style match to try and stop this guy here. All right, let him go all the way through so that my pressure can come back to where it needs to be. All right, my pressure comes towards his head. This makes it hard for him to elevate based on the way that he has to attack the foot. So when I bring my pressure back towards his head, if Keyway goes to elevate, his head stays down. He's got to elevate with his head down, and now I'm rotating through right into some defense here. This is going to allow me to keep my whizzer in, to keep pressure on him. All right, right here, this is really what's going to allow me to pressure through this position. So, that rule right here. That rule. Pass, last. All right? That's going to make sure that you're thinking through this position before you're letting your opponent get you all discombobulated. Remember some of the things that I went over in my last lesson, all right? These very important mental tricks that you must play with yourself, all right? So the one thing is, got to be telling yourself, there's like 3 things you really want to be saying at all times. It's, I need to score the next point, all right? The very next point I need to score. I need to make the next best decision, all right? I need to make the next best decision. And then I can and I will. All right, so those 3 statements combined, if you keep repeating those as you're wrestling, they will help you to stay focused on the goal at hand, which is to try and find a way to win this match by becoming a better wrestler. If you're focused on making the next best decision, that means that you're focused on following some of these rules, some of the other rules that we've talked about before, getting shoulder position, keeping my head high, trying to win this scramble, things like that. You can and you will do those if you look to score the next point and make the next best decision, and tell yourself that you can and you will do those things. All right, so we've got our basic 4 positions. All right, there's a couple other positions that we like to do our scrambles from here. All right, we like to do them from this seatbelt position. All right, so me and Kiwe get into a seatbelt position. Now you can add a variation on this where one guy steps over one leg, so Kiwe steps over my leg right here, and we can wrestle from this variation here, or I can step over his leg, right, and we can wrestle from here, and we can do this both ways where I've got the seatbelt and stepped over, and then Kiwe's going to replace, she's got the seatbelt, all right, and I've got the wizard, and he's on the inside, and vice versa, where I'm on the overhook and on the inside. All right, so these are positions that you also can wrestle these scrambles from. All right, these are really good ways to figure out what you need to be doing as a wrestler when you get into some of these positions, all right? So me and Kiwe are going to go about 50% live from this position here, and I'm going to show you guys kind of what some of the things that happen. So look at my position. I've got an inside hip, all right, and I've got an outside hip, but my inside hip is trapped in between Kiwe's legs, and he's got a seatbelt around my waist, all right? So when I say go, me and him are going to start wrestling a little bit, and I'm going to show you what this position looks like as we go through it. Ready, go. All right, he's trying to get his shoulder into position. All right, I'm trying to keep my head up above his right here. He's trying to create some motion here. Remember, we want to attack ankles and wrists. Right here, ankles and wrists, grab leg, elevate. Grab leg, elevate. Stepping over. Right here, created a low leg. Once I create this low leg, this is pretty much toast. This is where my cradles and things are going to come from. Once I have a leg and I can get it off the mat, that's going to allow me to dictate where this guy's head is and how I need to rotate around his hips. All right? So if we switch that position, now I've got the seatbelt, Kiwe's legs on the inside. All right? This is a not bad defensive position for him, and also not bad offensive position for me. Ready to go. He's trying to put pressure, get my shoulder down. I'm trying to find some shoulder position on his hips. All right, right here. Be able to create some motion, get to my stinky shoulder position, grab leg elevate, and score my takedown backside. All right, so right there, it's really about focusing on staying in good position and trying to transition into the other positions that we talked about. All right, so coming from places like this, remember, inside hip down, outside hip up, this is going to stop him from being able to put my head all the way down. If I put this outside knee down and Kiwe wizards, my head goes down, his hips go over top of my head. All right, so following these rules It's going to help you learn how to deal with these situations. These aren't moves, right? I'm not showing you a high crotch. These are positions that you have to learn how to make the next best decision through. All right? These things come when guys are coming out the back. All right? One of my favorite positions here where guys end up both offensively and defensively and lose track of what they need to do. So remember, all Keyway needs to do right here is create a low leg. Right now, he doesn't have a low leg. Both of my legs are at the same place. Keyway creates a low leg. Here, he created the low leg and immediately elevated. Now, the only problem is his head is lower than mine. So when he gets his head up, bam, that's his takedown. Look, once he got his head out over my hip, this is his takedown. He's got the low leg, he hooks, 2 points, and he's looking for backs. All right? So just by literally running through the checklist in his head, all right, he created a low leg. Look, that's all we're doing here. Right here, I don't have a low leg. I can create one. Okay? I can create a low leg. Boom, low leg. Keyway's trying to feed me this top leg, right? He wants me to grab this top leg. It's my job to focus on staying on this bottom leg. I must do my job. It's his job to do everything he can to feed me this top leg, all right? Another little kind of tip and trick on feeding that top leg is using your feet to wrestle, all right? As you guys get older, some of you younger guys, you gotta understand that you wrestle with your whole entire body. So as we're coming out the back here, all right, and Keyway's creating this low leg here, okay? I'm gonna use my top foot right behind Keyway's elbow, all right? His elbow is right here. Well, let me tie my shoe up. So his elbow is trying to stay tight so that he can elevate this low leg, okay? And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using my heel to hook his foot and keep it extended. All right, what this does is, as he starts to come up and fight and look to score his takedown, this is going to allow me to bring my hips up as he brings his hips up. I'm going to square up. He squares up. My hips can follow him up. Now we're right back into basically our sprawl wizard, where right here, we're back into our sprawl wizard where legs are going to go straight as a board. And now I'm trying to recover my shoulder position, sliding my head down and away, looking to recover shoulder position and squirt from my front headlock. All right. So once again, we're talking about these rules. Let's see. So the one thing that I want to talk about, so here's a position. So here's a little sneaky trick, all right? So some of these things I save until the end, right? I've got that last lesson, talk about our secret recipes. Here's going to be a little insight into some of the stuff that we're doing there, all right? So one of my favorite things about scrambles and understanding position is when I can beat the shoulder and beat this guy's position before he even knows it. All right, so one of my favorite things is if I can get to a gut wrench and lock my hands, I always want to do it. So if I can beat this guy's shoulder, Keyway's looking to wrestle me through this position right here. All right, right here as he tries to bring his hips up and score, my hands can lock. All right, I'm underneath of his arm. So right here, he's in on my leg like a crackdown situation. My hand's gonna come and keep him on one side of my body so that I can get my hands locked. I'm underneath both of his arms. Now, what I want to do is, I want to now start to, I want to try and put the weight towards Keyway's head. So right here, I'm going to pull and put his head on the mat. Keep my head up. Now, as he tries to finish from here, all I need to do is this bottom leg, I'm going to pull this through and make this my top leg. All right? So as he goes to finish, I'm going to pull his hip through. Right here, I pull him through. He's now on the top leg. All right, he's on this top leg, which is where we want him. And because I'm underneath both of his arms, all I want to do is squeeze nice and tight and pull my heel in. All right? If we're in a folk style match, I don't have to let my hands go until the referee says 2. And it's not locked hands until that happens. So I'm going to fight this takedown right here as I finish. Release my hands in folk style so that I can recover my points. All right? So I use this freestyle, folk style, doesn't matter. So this is a variation off of one of our core drills where we do our shoulder pass. Here we do our shoulder pass. Instead of coming to position 3, all right, we're going to turn all the way in here. All right, imagine, so I'm underneath both of his arms. I'm underneath his arm, underneath of his arm, and the pressure comes this way so that this bottom leg becomes the top leg. This also happens from a crackdown. All right, we're in a crackdown position. He weighs on one side of my body. He's on one side of my body. This is what I want to keep him. All right, for him to score a takedown, this should go in your notes. This should go in your notes. To score a takedown, he needs his head on one side of my body and his feet on the other side. All right, so when his feet come to the other side and his head is on this side, he scores a takedown. He just elevates me to my back. There go his points. Okay? So head on one side, feet on the other. All right, Coach Dale Bondle used to say that to us every single day at Team Renegade. Head on one side, feet on the other to finish your takedown. So what this defense does is it prevents him from getting to the other side of my body. All right? So as he's looking to get his hips up, get his feet to the other side of my body, he's looking to right here. I'm going to be turning with him. I'm turning towards his head. And once I can beat that shoulder just a little bit and my hands get locked, now I've got him. I'm driving towards his head. This top leg is going to come in. All right? And as we roll, this top leg hooks, and I stay in control. I can stay in control here for as long as I need to until I decide I don't want to anymore, and then I just straighten out my leg and finish on top. All right? So that one thing for your notes. This is very, very important. This is something that I had neglected to put down. As part of your scrambling rules, remember, to finish your takedowns. All right, this is really good in the takedown rules. To finish your takedowns, you want head on one side of his body, head on one side, feet on the other. Okay? If you think about that, that's what's going to happen for a majority of your takedowns. You're getting your head on one side and your feet on the other, or you're completely breaking your opponent down. That's the same premise for finishing my bars of guard. I finish, head on one side of his body, feet on the other side of his body. All right? It's the same premise when I finish my doubles here. All right? So if I do a little cutback, pull on his knee pull, head on one side, feet on the other, that's going to be a takedown. So understanding that as I'm looking for shoulder position, all right, I'm trying to create this head on one side, feet on the other side position, all right, while I'm trying to do all of these other things. So these about 7 rules here that we've kind of broken down from this scrambling position. These rules should really allow you to have a basic idea on what you need to do at every point in a wrestling match. So the scramble is, like I said earlier, everything that happens in between your good positions. So you start off in a good stance, take a good penetration shot, your opponent takes a good shot on you, you're now engaged in wrestling. A scramble is everything that happens when you're engaged in wrestling, trying to advance your position. Remember, we're talking about technique here. That's a lot of what scrambling is actually technique. And when it comes to technique, there is no bad technique unless it doesn't work, all right? The only bad technique are the ones that allow your opponent to score on you. It was just Tyler.
I don't know.
Okay. It'll be okay. Understanding that, you know, we've got to follow these rules here so that you can understand where you need to go next. If you have a progression in your head, if you understand what the position calls for, then you're going to be able to better predict what needs to happen. And that's really all we're trying to do with our wrestling. It's really all we're trying to do with a lot of these moves is we want to create a situation where we can predict what our opponent's going to do so that we can beat that prediction. That's all a setup is. A setup is us putting our opponent in a position to do something that we already know that they're going to do. All right? So whether that just means something on our feet from our motion, where one of my favorite setups is I do a post-post shot. So I go post-post. What this normally does is this forces this guy to come forward, and there goes my shot. So a lot of times my setup is going to go post-post step. There goes my shot. That's a setup. The same thing I can do for if my opponent takes a really good high crotch, all right? Kiba takes a really good high crotch, all right? Part of my setup to hitting that last technique that I showed, that cut the corner gut wrench, is I got to do the initial thing. So check my wallet, protect my marbles here, pushing on his elbow, and then as I elbow pass, I already know that when I go to come here, that this guy's going to start bringing his hips up off the mat. He's a good wrestler. He's trying to elevate my leg. So right here is going to allow me to cut the corner. See where I am? Hands are locked. All right? This hand is right here. This hand is around his waist. This hand's right here. This is how we're going to end up. All right? And I already know that I'm going to win this position because I've got my hands locked around his waist. So now, as we wrestle, all I need to do is focus on this bottom leg becoming the top leg, and now it's useless for keep leg, and it's going to allow me to score. So your setups and things like that, all right? Another setup is understanding the position that happens. I'm in on the leg, okay? This was part of our core drills, part 2 lesson, where I elevate right here, and I created a low leg. Look, this hand is higher. I mean, this leg is higher than that one. So all I'm going to do is backstroke the leg right here. The low leg I created, I can step over. Head stays high. Head on one side, feet on the other. Finish my takedown. My setup is the elevation. Okay? I took a really good high crotch. Keyway gave me a good head redirect. We started to scroll. Right here, I started to elevate just a little. Once his foot's off the mat, just an inch. Now I can backstroke, and this is where I end up. And I'm very comfortable wrestling from this position because I know what's going to happen here. He's either going to be trying to get his foot back over top of my head, right, which is fine, because once I isolate and step over, I just need to get my head on the other side. Head on one side, feet on the other. All right? So, today, we talked about feeding your opponent the top leg. That's going to be important because as your opponent's trying to score their takedown, if they're following these rules correctly, they're going to be focused on your low leg, trying to elevate it, put you towards danger position, criteria back points, putting your head on the mat. All right, that's what that low leg elevation does. And so if you can feed them your top leg, that allows you to turn your hips so that your belt buckle stays towards the mat, and they have a very hard time controlling both sides of your hips. If they control the top leg, then you can control what side of your body they're on, whether they can get their head on one side and their feet on the other. All right? You want to make sure that you're passing last. So what that means is, Keepway comes and hits a leg pass on me. All right? as Keyway hits this leg pass on me, go ahead. He passes my leg. Once he comes all the way through, all right, I'm still bringing my pressure back towards his head so that I can rotate around his face. Remember, I want to be looking in the same direction as him as we go to finish this, all right? So he passed my leg. I don't pass over the top of him until I've already let him completely roll through. That's going to allow me to keep the pressure on the foot that he attacks and not try and catch him mid-pass and then get my leg elevated, all right? So passing last, all right? We talked about a couple of different positions that we're going to be wrestling out of these scrambles from. So our seatbelt position, whether I've got the seatbelt and my opponent or my partner has the overhook, and then whether my leg's on the inside or my opponent's legs or partner's legs on the inside. So there are 4 variations on that, and we can do those on both sides. And then we talked about a little trick of cutting the corner as guys or as girls are trying to finish their takedowns. If you can redirect their shoulder position. So remember, they should be trying to keep the front of their shoulder on the front of your hip. And so if they're not able to keep the front of their shoulder on the front of your hip, you're going to be able to maneuver around their position a little bit different. All right, so what that kind of looks like is anytime he's got really good shoulder position, he's going to be controlling my hips. So anytime I can create space between his shoulder and my hips, this is going to allow me a lot of freedom to move around his body. All right, so he's got my leg but no shoulder position. I can rotate all the way around his body in weird ways. He keeps shoulder position nice and tight. I can't go anywhere, all right? I can't turn through his shoulder here. And if I turn away from him here, backside stinky shoulder, he finishes his takedown very, very easily, okay? And so I hope you guys like this lesson. This is a tough lesson to teach without a lot of back and forth and without a lot of correction. So please, if you have questions, if you don't understand something, if you want to understand something more, one of the opportunities is, first of all, to write it down in your notes. All right, so any questions that you see as these positions come up, write them down in your notes. If I see questions in your notes, I will personally respond. All right, Thomas, thank you for being here. I appreciate you checking in today. All right, thanks, Thomas. And then secondly, if you have any questions, send me a Facebook message. All right, send a message through the YouTube channel. If you need my personal cell phone number, ask for it. I will give it to you. I am here to help you guys. All right, so whatever you guys need, whatever types of things you need help on, please reach out to me. I want to be a resource to you guys to be able to help you as much as I can, especially in these times when we're all trying to deal with a new normal. All right, and so there's no reason why we can't try and find ways to get better as wrestlers, whether it be through visualization. One of the things that's really, really important if you want to be able to jump levels, not as only as a wrestler, but also as a person, is you must be able to create the future that you want in your mind, okay? You must be able to completely visualize, be able to feel the emotions that are going to happen as you accomplish your goals. And also, this is a useful tool to help you deal with disappointment and negative emotions. So if you can completely visualize the negative things that can and will happen in a match, whether the referee makes a bad call and calls a takedown that wasn't a takedown and now you're down by 1 with 30 seconds left. Those types of situations can be jarring and they can get you really excited and cause you to not think clearly unless you visualize that situation in your head. And basically this is just another chance for you to try and change the outcome of something. All right, so making sure that you're creating what you want in your head first before you try and recreate on the mat, and before you try and recreate in your life. So a lot of these drills and things, you guys have been wrestling for a while. That's why you're checked into this the Facebook Live group right now, and that's why you'll be watching this on YouTube. You guys have experience. You guys understand a little bit of wrestling position, and if you don't have a wellspring of knowledge of past matches for you to go through, then there are a ton of places for you to go and watch wrestling and see how some of these rules actually come into play. Just remember, the higher the level of wrestling that you watch, the more likely that the rules are being broken in some way, shape, or form, because at the highest levels, everyone's following the rules, and you must know the rules to break the rules. So if you're watching very good high school wrestling, you will see a lot of really good fundamental rule stuff until the two highest level wrestlers are going at it, because now they must be creative and try and force their opponent to break a rule by sometimes breaking rules themselves. At the college level, you see this less often because breaking the rules even for a second at the elite college level, guys are able to recognize that quicker and are able to capitalize better. And then at the international level, you see some countries who have built styles around fudging a little bit of what these rules might mean. So if you watch a lot of Russians, their stances aren't necessarily as orthodox as we like to keep in America, right? An American stance is a really fundamental, defensively position-minded stance. And so you're that butt down, chest up, elbows in, face forward type of stance is going to be really an Americanized way of approaching this wrestling. A lot of Eastern European, Russian wrestling is going to involve a lot more fluid motion on your feet, more straight legs, hips and shoulders are going to be more in line. All right. So if you're watching things like that, understanding the different concepts of understanding the rules before you can break them and kind of how all of these things play in. Guys, once again, thank you very much for checking in. I really hope that you're enjoying these lessons. I am enjoying giving them to you. For the late start today, but some of the things that are important, right? I think one thing that you guys understand is that everything in life is about priorities. All right, and so I'll just give you the list of my priorities and the way that they go, and you can adopt these if you like them. First priority is going to be, my higher power, God, whatever that may mean for you. So God, for me, always comes first in my life, trying to make sure that, I'm doing the things that are right in that way. So then family is the second thing on my priority list. All right, right below God. So that includes my wife and my two children. And then for me, right after that is going to be school. So I went back to school to become a doctor. And so school is the next thing on my priority list, and then followed by wrestling. All right. And so that's kind of been my priority list since I've been about 10 years old. It's been God, family, school, and wrestling. And so I've kept that, and it's got me a lot of success. So, guys, thank you very much. I hope you enjoy. Have a great day. Be ready to check out Darian Cruz at 12:30 today. I think he's got some really cool stuff for you. And then also we've got a lesson at 3:30 today as well. All right. So our 3:30 lesson is going to be Coach Casey Rowell from Comanche, Oklahoma. All right, this guy is an amazing person who is built on consistency, so I'm excited to see what he's got. Thank you very much. Have a good day.